Grace and peace to all of you joining us tonight. We are thrilled that you are joining in to the Gathering Echo, joining your voice to the sound that has been resounding from before time. Come on in, sing along. That's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to sing a song of joy. AJ preached this past Sunday with a sermon called Foal Song, not folk song. My folk song is a foal song. Being the little children of God, the sons and daughters of God, blessed are the peacemakers, for they're the children of God.
Yeah.
We're all just running around like a bunch of crazy kids, and I can't get enough of it.
Right.
Loving it, digging it. Found my people and my tribe. This is what I'm into. So if you feel like that, come and join us. Come and celebrate. Come and get crazy, get a little wild, get a little out of your normal routine, and jump into the river. Whatever analogy you want to throw out there, just come on in with us. We're ready to do it. But no, he preached this sermon on Sunday called Foal Song, and he ends with this point out of, was it Matthew 21, right?
Yep.
All right, Matthew 21. And the thing that keeps hitting me and has been hitting me about all week is this word that he ended with, and I got like 16 different lexicons this week, as encouraged by some folks to do so. I don't know what I was thinking. So I had a little lost in that word, that one and the other one, the bow. Oh, gosh, yeah. Well, the first one that you referenced leading up to it is John the Baptist crying, the shouting, the bow. Yeah. It's a turbulent cry for help. It's chaos. It's a confusing, chaotic cry. It's just this loud, noisy, God, what in the world is going on over there? We don't know, but it drew people, of course, and it worked, right? Got people to go to John. And then once all this sort of takes place, fast forward to Jesus in the temple with the kids, and they start crying in the temple. Same, different word. This one's called krazo. So the Greek word krazo, which is an onomatopoeia for in which, an onomatopoeia is a sound that's like, cuckoo or bam or bang. It's a word that has a sound to it. So for me, what I got at this one point, I'll try and sort of tee this up for you to jump in a little bit more here. You had referenced where they're singing the song Psalm 118, right? And then, we already talked about the Psalm 8 and 2 part. We talked about that a few weeks ago. Juice had a lot of great stuff to say about that. I preached a little bit about it, and we talked about it again because it was just real with us. Have you not heard? Jesus is kind of giving them this pushback. Have you not heard that it's out of the mouth, or have you not read? It's out of the mouth of babes that praise is perfected. So Here they are perfecting praise. All right, well, how are they doing it? They're singing Psalm 118. They're singing Hosanna, but they're not doing it the way they're used to doing it. They're used to the solemn assembly. Everybody comes in and it's like, robes, and adornment, and everything's right, and everything's in its place. Everybody knows where to go and know what to do. And then here comes all these kids coming in there saying, Hosanna, Hosanna! And it sounds they're just making fun of people, probably.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing that we did when we were kids. We would do this thing, and then truth be told, Doc and I used to do this over here once in a while. We would, the words would be on the screen, and we would sing the words in reverse. And you end up at the exact same spot. You end up at the beginning when you do it. And we're just, we were just being goofballs, but that was, that's just kind of part of growing up, or whatever it is, whatever you want to call it.
Maybe that's where you went wrong.
That's probably where we went wrong. But what these kids are doing is they're out here singing this song, and it's not the solemn, reverential way that everybody's expecting them to do it.
Yeah.
Like, don't you know that our King David wrote this hymn? How dare you kids come out here and behave like this? And they just keep on right in their face, Hosanna! Making fun of whoever in the church probably sang like that. Old Bessie or Jim Bob probably sang like that. And so there's Hosanna, Hosanna. They're just making fun of.
Are you using the Rosanna song right now?
Probably.
I think you're using the tune of Rosanna.
Hosanna.
Rosanna. Rosanna.
Who was that that sang that?
Was it? Or was it? It was Rosanna, right?
Rosanna.
Come on, somebody help us with that old song. Yeah, yeah,
I can hear the tune.
yeah.
Isn't that how it goes?
I think so.
Right.
I think that's what you're using,
Probably.
which is awesome.
More than likely, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to remember who sang that, I don't know.
I can't either.
Somebody can help
Help
us
us
with
in the
that.
comments.
Throw us a
If you
comment.
know that
throw us a
tune, name
line.
that tune.
Toto.
Toto. There you go.
What's the name of the song?
Rosanna.
Rosanna.
I
It's a
told
good
you.
song.
I told you.
Toto
Yeah.
had some. They had some tunes, man.
So that's what your brain was doing with that. That's
Immediately.
awesome. That's awesome. So the awesome thing about that word that I want to hone in tonight on is that it suggests that our verb krazo does not so much express the mere act of producing a verbal sound, but rather the act of traversing by means of sound.
Yep.
The tying together of two distant locations by means of a verbal expression. Our verb describes a crying specifically for attention or help or any sort of concern from the receiver of the sound, and this is the huge part, and with the specific objective to engage in a relationship with the receiver, as opposed to the crying of pain or crying to deter. So when the children were crying, Hosanna in the highest, it was specifically to engage in a relationship with Him, with that. Like, whereas you have all these other cries, this tumultuous cry that you hear in the wilderness, that is very boisterous and very confusing and very tumultuous, and it's almost this cry out into everywhere, like, I'm help me, somebody help me somewhere, please help, I don't know the way. That's what that, and what was that bow, yeah, Mr. Lexicon over there. That's awesome.
I'm learning Greek,
10.
so I'm starting to
Yeah.
do it. I'm trying to.
Well, say it, so say the word.
Bow.
Bow. And am I saying krazo right?
Yeah.
Krazo.
Kradzo.
Yeah.
Kradzo?
Kradzo.
Kradzo. Should I say it with more of an accent, like kradzo?
You
Sure,
can.
if you want to.
Can I say it like that?
You can.
But yeah, that.
Kradzo.
So what they were doing was they were crying out with a specific intent to have a relationship with Jesus, right? And I think that is significant because so many people are crying out for different reasons, right? And we've all cried out, and we cry out because we're lost and we need help, and we need, you see this, and we are all human, and we connect in ways because we're all crying for something. But these kids did something different. They cried specifically because they saw that the dove was resting on that shoulder. They saw that, as we walk through John the Baptist, the dove descends symbolically, spiritually, physically, all the above, however you want to interpret it.
Yep.
John said that the dove lit on Jesus' shoulder and remained.
Yeah.
And then you have Jesus coming into the temple and overturning the tables of the money changers, the loan sharks, and specifically, which was Awesome Sunday because I didn't see it in study, specifically they were selling doves. So they were selling. So Mr. Brent, why were they selling doves?
Well, for one, it was the you could offer doves as a sacrifice for as propitiation for sin and things like that. You could, if you didn't have the money for anything else, then we can sell you doves, which is almost like a oxymoron. Right? You don't have enough money to do the lambs and the goats and whatever else, but so we'll sell you. Sell you these doves.
Yeah.
So it's selling the song that you should be listening to.
Ooh.
That's what I felt from it is that you're trying to sell the song, and you kind of said this earlier too. Is like you're selling the song that you should be outside hearing.
Yes.
Something that's free.
So have you guys heard the birds this week?
I have heard the birds this week.
Has that been an occurrence for you? Man, I've heard the birds like crazy this
every
week.
morning. That's
Hello, Tanya. Thanks for joining us. Welcome. What's up, cuz? Everybody in the comments, y'all keep sharing the stream. Everybody come on into the conversation. This is going to be a fun conversation tonight. But I've heard birds all week, like on the way to work in the mornings.
Yep.
I had this guy at work tell me, he said, I don't know if you realize this. Like, I was wondering, he said, I think I'm the only person that notices when we walk in here that these birds are hollering every morning. And he listened to Sunday, and he's like, and now I know I'm not the only one, and it's like, wow. Well, you know, because I'm just now getting used to it. Like I'm
Yeah.
just now hearing it because as a child, you're incorporating all, you're taking all this in. You're being one with it. If I could read, I want to read something I didn't get to Sunday that I think will kind of frame this up a little bit. And this surprise, it's Jay Griffiths. But she's
That's another good song.
but she talks about this word synesthesia. And I've talked about this before. As a matter of fact, I don't. Yeah, there it is. Synesthesia. So, reckless with divinity, childhood knows itself to share the resonant frequency of life in a riff, a rhythm, and a rhyme of the mind. Life is sheer, sudden presence to a child, a transcendence into a feeling of oneness so powerful that the senses themselves become one. Synesthesia. It's the in-seeing song. A child's hearing is better than ours. It hears in two senses. A child can hear a pitch far higher into the sheer beyond and can also hear the earth singing to herself when life resolves into music.
What?
Synesthesia.
What in the world?
Synesthesia.
Yeah.
That's what happened when these children are crying out, Hosanna in the highest. It's synesthesia. It's reconnecting you from a distant location back to your nest, if you will.
Yeah.
Back to the nest, the homeland that you're, and then you start hearing these birds out in nature, and you're like, you become connected with the earth again.
Yeah.
Like you become, not only are you feeling connected relationally, you're feeling the kith and the kin.
Yeah.
Like you're inhabiting the earth.
Right.
Right. So who inherits the earth? Well, it's the ones that won't kill the birds.
Yeah.
It's the meek.
Yeah, it's interesting because she says all that in juxtaposition to Plato's Republic,
Mm-hmm.
which is Plato's Republic is the ideal utopia, right?
Fantastic
In
connection.
in the mind of a man, right? So when we say man, we say anthropos, but in the mind of anthropos, this is what the ideal world would look like. And there's not a lot of playing. There's not a lot of everything's very orderly. Everything's very structured.
Because he banned woodwinds.
Basically, yeah.
He banned woodwinds.
Yeah.
Oh,
And again, and you have to
great
think
point.
about it like this is this ideal world, right?
Yeah.
This is his interpretation of what would be an ideal world. And if you look at it, it looks very totalitarian, right? You kind of get into the landscape of what fascism and things like that look like. And so, she's saying all this, like I said, in juxtaposition to that idea, and where you have this, you ultimately do have this utopia created when you get in sync with the natural world,
Right.
And its courses, right? And to that point, that's some of what Juice has talked about. Where you become so one with God and nature that you literally have the elements in your storehouse as part of your inheritance or part of the thing that you can draw upon, right? Your resources literally become nature itself. And that can be, of course, you can use that psychologically, right? Like it's been proven over and over that when people go out in nature, or you go for a walk or whatever, those types, like you go listen to the birds and those types of things, right? That it calms your physiology down.
Right.
But what have we done? He sent this video this week to us. It's this guy. I forget who the guy was now. But he's talking about what have we done in schools. The schools and hospitals and prisons all look the same. They got the same fluorescent lights, the same types of walls, same types of windows.
Nursing homes.
And nursing homes are all the same. They all look exactly the same. So instead of bringing kids, the elderly, those that are in need of healing or whatever it is, instead of bringing them outside in nature and letting them connect, or you had reposted something that you had written, I don't know when it was, a year ago, and you had put in there about this terrestrial connection of
earthing
of like
being barefoot.
Yeah, from being
Literally.
barefoot, where Moses is standing there at this burning bush that is burning but not consumed. For you talk a little bit about that in there too, but he making this connection back to the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of connecting people back to the earth, put them in an enclosed space where the light is not natural. The light is very fake, and there's no value given from it.
Right.
You get zero nutritional value from that type of light.
Yeah,
Not
it
getting
doesn't
any-
even look natural.
Doesn't even
Not,
look natural.
not
It's
getting
not even
any
the same
vitamins.
tone.
Right.
Not getting any vitamins.
No vitamins.
No vitamins.
No
It's like going to an
vitamins.
indoor pool. Like,
Yeah.
What's the point?
Right.
But you take them outside,
Right.
and they experience something that you'd have to take a pill to get. You'd have to take a pill to get vitamin D now.
Mhm.
Instead, just take them outside and let them live in the sun.
Yeah.
Right.
Let them go experience nature. Let them go connect to the earth. Let them go take their shoes off.
Mhm.
Let them be on holy ground.
Right.
Let them experience that the God that is within that. Let them experience God being all in all, and then they'll realize something that's deep within themselves,
Mhm.
that the same God that makes the grass to grow is the same God that can heal my heart or whatever is going on with me. So you have this thing happening where people get closed in. So what happens instead is the other part, the other word that you brought up on Sunday was scandalizo,
Mhm.
which is offense.
Mhm.
And offense is a fence, is what
Yeah.
you said. I really loved it.
It's a
Because
fence.
what you start doing is you start trapping
It's a
people in.
fence.
Yeah.
A bent sapling.
Yep.
A bent sapling. Like
Mm.
all the way down to the actual meaning of the word scandalizo is a bent stick to trap an animal.
Yep.
Or to trap another person.
Yeah.
Like that's the word, that's the actual physical meaning of the word
Yep.
scandalizo.
That's one of the
To
main
entrap,
meanings.
ensnare, fence in, imprison. And then that's what makes it so wild that John says what he says through his disciples to Jesus. He's literally scandalizo, in prison,
Yeah.
ensnared,
Yeah.
jail bars, in front of his face.
Yep.
And he sends them, and Jesus' message back to him is what? Blessed are those who are not offended in me. Don't be offended in me, John. Don't be trapped by what I'm
Yeah.
saying, because you're trying to uphold this axe to the grind, this axe to the root of the trees message.
Yep.
You know, and I think that's what we're trying to do here is say that there's more to this than just saying that to heck with everything.
Yeah.
You know, the earth is going away. All this is a terrible, terrible, terrible message.
Yep.
And it doesn't jive with anything Jesus said, really.
Yeah.
Jesus is so I know we're jumping, but
Sorry. Yeah,
no,
I-
I'm jumping.
I went
I'm
down.
jumping. No. I love it because it's all connected. Jesus jumps. So let's talk about when John dies, right?
Yeah.
So when John dies, this is something I talked about Sunday. When John the Baptist dies, Jesus goes where?
To the wilderness.
And you read it just a minute ago, a desert place apart.
Apart.
Yeah. So, check this out. Isaiah 61. Let's read Isaiah 61. If you have your Bibles with you, turn to Isaiah 61, verse 1. And this is what Jesus quotes to John's disciples. He says, go tell John this, right? The Spirit of the Lord, well, we'll get to that. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek, and hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives. And this is what he didn't say to John, right? He did not include this part to John through his disciples. And the opening of the prison to them that are bound, because he's not talking about a literal prison there. And John wants him to be talking about a literal prison, because John spoke literally in a lot of ways, right? But verse 3, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called the trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. Now, this does not pair well like with John's, the axe is laid to the root.
Yeah.
That doesn't pair well like when you go to the restaurant and they tell you what pairs well with this meal, right?
Cabernet with
That doesn't pair well with
tortellini or
John's
something.
the axe is laid to the root at all.
Right.
And he specifically quotes this
Yep.
and leaves out the prison part. I mean, he hits John right where he's at.
Yeah.
Because John's in prison, sending his disciples, go ask Jesus if he is who he says he is, or if I should look for somebody else, because my ministry has led me to this.
Yeah.
And he quotes all of it, but leaves out the prison doors are open.
Mhm.
And then I just saw that tonight. The very next thing that he says, if he would have kept saying it, was, we are the planting of the Lord.
Yeah.
We're the trees of righteousness, the
Yep.
planting of the Lord. So here, I was thinking about this. You kind of have this connection where John is pulling a little bit of Jonah here. John is
Okay.
very very Jonah-like here.
Yeah.
Whereas his message is just brute. The axe is laid to the root. The fan is in his hand. He's coming after me. I'm not even going to be able to touch him. And then Jesus says, literally, baptize me.
Yeah.
And so you have John. Another story that you have is Balaam. That's very similar.
Yeah.
You know, because Balaam's on his way to do what he does.
Oh,
Balaam's on his way to do what he does best.
right.
And curse.
Yeah.
Right? And the angel of the Lord stops him on the donkey, right? and stops him 3 times.
So here's God in nature again.
So then here's
Doing
the
something.
sound. Yeah, and here's the sound from the donkey is, why are you hitting me?
Yeah.
Why do you keep hitting me?
Yeah.
I've always been a good wonky donkey.
Okay, okay.
I've always been a good winky wonky donkey, Balaam. Why are you striking me?
Yeah.
You know, and then Balaam has synesthesia.
Yeah.
Balaam literally has this moment of realization, like, and then he ends up goes to bless.
Yeah.
So you have this beautiful picture where John is bringing the axe to the root of the trees.
Mhm.
So John dies. Jesus goes back to the wilderness.
Yeah.
Back to my point.
Yep.
Jesus goes back to the wilderness, to a place apart. I think to symbolically say, when John was out here in the wilderness, he looked at these trees and thought about them coming down.
Yep.
Because he uses the trees as a physical metaphor for the people and saying,
Yeah.
the axe is laid to the root. John's out there in the wilderness staring at trees,
Yeah.
right? Jesus goes back to the wilderness to say that y'all are going to be the trees of righteousness, planting of the Lord,
Yep.
me. And why is it like that? Because these kids are crying out,
Yeah.
Hosanna, save us. It's synesthesia.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fired up, man. I mean,
So-
I've got...
Yeah, and
Go.
I mean, I think that because part of the wilderness journey is to turn it into a paradise.
Yep.
Mhm.
Right. That's
Right.
the point. You know, is it's not just to pass through and go to a promised land, but it's to actually transform where you've been placed.
Right.
Right.
Right. You should be changing that wilderness into a garden.
Right.
Mhm.
And it's the word that's used. Oh man, I just
Jesus was also mistaken for a gardener. I thought about that today.
Oh yeah, that was
Well.
that's just,
Yeah, when Mary first saw Jesus, she thought he was a gardener.
yeah. He's
So he
planting
looks
seeds.
like somebody that would plant a tree and not chop one down, John.
right. And then Paul says in Romans 8, he said, "For if you live after the flesh, you shall die. But if you through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, you shall live. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, which Christ was led into the wilderness, right?
Mhm.
Well, they're the sons of God. Hopefully, we're being led.
Mm-hmm.
For you don't have, or you have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but you received the spirit of adoption, whereby we kradzo, Abba Father.
Well.
It's the same word.
Thank
We
you.
cry, kradzo, Abba Father.
Yes.
And that's that cry out for the relationship to be linked with Him,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
as we become linked with Him, it's like you're saying that we're planting the righteousness of the
Right.
Lord. We're planting relationship
Right.
out into these other folks, and they become trees of righteousness.
Right. And that's my testimony. I mean, my specific testimony is I cried out specifically Jesus.
Yeah.
And he radically appeared in my life in the form of my wife,
Yeah, a person.
which brings me back to what you were saying about Moses. Moses is on the run. This is wild. Moses is on the run because he's done what? He's killed an Egyptian. So
Yeah.
he's on the run. But what settles him is what? Marrying
Yeah.
Zipporah,
Mhm.
which means bird.
Yeah.
It literally means bird.
That's
Her
crazy.
name means bird.
That's crazy.
So Moses marries Zipporah and then works with Jethro's flock. But that's his wilderness experience.
Yep. That's
That's what happens in the wilderness. What's supposed to happen in the wilderness.
Yep.
Like you're supposed to come out of the wilderness with this message of I'm the planting of the Lord, not I'm going to cut the trees down.
Yep.
Not that let's destroy stuff, not let's get rid of stuff, not let's throw stuff away. But Juice said this earlier today. Juice, we love you, bro. Wish you were here. Hope you guys are recovering well at home. But we're gonna read a little bit of what he said. According to Michael Shapiro, a professor of biology, who runs a research program on pigeon genetics at the University of Utah in the U.S., doves can physically produce tears. They can also
It's a Prince song.
they can also make a mournful sound that could be described as crying, but it's not due to being in distress. He explained the call didn't sound sorrowful in the mourning dove. It was more likely to be a mating cry to attract the attention of another dove.
Golly,
Huh.
man.
Uh,
Conversing with sound.
Yes,
Wow.
Jeez.
yes, you're seeing
That's
it.
crazy.
Well, I was wondering why he put Matthew 5,
Yeah,
4.
yeah.
Which
Blessed are they
blessed
that
are
mourn.
those that mourn.
Yeah. So blessed are they that mourn.
For
So
they'll be
so
comforted.
mourn is pentheo, which is a grieve, wail.
Yeah.
All right. So that's from penthos, meaning strengthen, and pentho, to experience a sensation or impression, feel, usually not always painful, feel passion. So he says the passion of the Christ identified in the wailing of the children like doves crying, symbolizing divinity incarnate in him and them, he in them in him right now, for they shall be comforted. And then parakleo, meaning to call near, that is, invite, call for, in addition to be of good comfort. Blessed are they that wail, for they shall be called near. That's the Juice translation. Oh my goodness, it's beautiful.
Man.
It's beautiful. That's it. That's the traversing by sound.
Yeah.
And how many times have we traversed by sound? I mean, that's literally what we're trying to do in our worship and when we play music.
Yeah.
That's the invitation, that you can traverse from this place, this exiled place that you may be in, back into the reality of who you are, back into the oneness of your spirit.
Yeah.
Now, you're not scattered about. I need to read that Thomas Merton, Flock of
Oh, gosh,
Possibilities.
yeah, that's good too.
I need to read that because this will tie in like nobody's
It's in,
business.
No man is an island.
This
right?
is in the book No Man is an Island.
Yep.
So please listen to this. This will absolutely set you free if you can hear it. Let he that hath an ear hear. The cares and preoccupations of life draw us away from ourselves. Okay? As long as we give ourselves to these things, our minds are not at home. They are drawn out of their own reality into the illusion to which they tend. They let go of the actuality which they have and which they are in order to follow a flock of possibilities. But possibilities have wings, and our minds must take flight from themselves in order to follow them into the sky. If we live with possibilities, we are exiles from the present.
Wow.
Check this out, guys. This is huge. If we live with possibilities, the possibilities are, oh no, what might happen tomorrow, which is what we all do.
right.
It's what we all talk about. Oh, tomorrow.
Take no
Oh, we've never had this happen before,
Yep.
except for yesterday. And I woke up today and everything was okay.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's like, so what? We're living with the possibilities. Oh, my God, what might happen? So if you live with the flock of possibilities, you are exiling yourself from the present.
Yes.
So then what is the present? He says the present, if we live with possibilities, we're exiles from the present, which is given to us by God. So the present is your gift. Tomorrow's not your gift.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's not your gift.
Right.
Yesterday is over. It doesn't exist anymore. Tomorrow doesn't exist right now. The gift is now.
Yep.
But if you follow this flock of possibilities in your own mind, away from the reality of the present, there's no wonder that you're anxious, right? All right, so let's keep going on what he's saying here. If we live with possibilities, we're exiles from the present, which is given to us by God to be our own. Homeless and displaced in a future or a past which are not ours, because they are always beyond our reach.
Yep.
The present is our right place, and we can lay hands on whatever it offers us. As long as we are in this life, this is nasty bad. We both are and are not. We are constantly changing, and yet the person who changes is always the same person. Even his changes express his personality and develop it and confirm him for what he is. A man is a free being who is always changing into himself. This changing is never merely indifferent. We are always getting either better or worse. Our development is measured by our acts or free choice, and we make ourselves according to the pattern of our desires. If our desires reach out for the things that we were created to have and to make and to become, then we will develop into what we were truly meant to be. But if our desires reach out for things that have no meaning for the growth of our spirit, if they lose themselves in dreams or passions or illusions, we will be false to ourselves, and in the end, our lives will proclaim that we have lied to ourselves and to other men and to God. We will judge ourselves as aliens and exiles from ourselves and from God. In hell, there is no recollection. The damned are exiled not only from God and from other men, but even from themselves.
Exiled
Back
from
to exiled.
From who you were.
That's hell.
Exiled from yourself.
That's hell.
Man.
You don't know who you are anymore.
Man.
There's no recollection. There's no recollection. There's no recognition. You can't hear the song anymore. You can't hear anything that brings a memory back to you.
Right.
That's
You can't hear the birds. You can't hear the birds.
Yeah, you can't. You can't
Right.
hear any, and there's no
Right.
connection. There's no connection to anything at that point.
Yeah.
At that point, there's no connection to nature. There's no connection to God. There's no connection to anything because you've exiled yourself to a place of not knowing.
Right.
When it's the Spirit that draws people.
Mhm.
So the Spirit is the one that Jesus was talking about. It said the Spirit would bring things back to your remembrance. So the Spirit singing the song, is sort of the Spirit descending on him like a dove, is this bird song reminding us and reminding him maybe through or reminding us through him, whatever terminology you want to throw out there, but singing this song that brings back the recollection of who you are,
Yeah.
brings back the remembrance of who you were made to be, but also the person that shouted for joy. And I would like to, now that I'm thinking about this, I really wish I would have looked this up in the Septuagint, which is the Greek version of the Old Testament, to see if shouted for joy was the same word. Maybe it's charazo, I don't know. But it possibly is. I'd have to go read.
Where's it at?
That'd be in Job, where the sons of God shouted for joy. But read that in the Septuagint version, which would be the Greek version of it, to see if that's the way they translate it.
Yeah,
I'll look it up.
I'd be interested in knowing that, just to see if this shout for joy, and then here are these kids who are what we say a lot of times, they're the closest to having been with God already.
Yeah.
Because the older we get, the further we get from God, it seems like. Or the further we get from knowing God. Yeah. But C.S. Lewis, I read this quote from him today, that the older that we get, the more we start, or how did he word it? It was, he said that the older we get, we stop reading normal things and can find ourselves back reading fairy tales again.
Yeah.
As the closer we get to dying, is the more that we go back into reading fairy tales. It's like, well, this is where the truth was anyhow. Yeah. This is where the song was. This is where the imagination was. And that's the big thing for me, is the imagination that these children get to have in singing a song in a way that was not natural and was something that everybody says, well, you got to do it this way. Well, little Jimmy, you got to sing it this way. And when you go to church, you have to sing Hosanna this way. We've always done Psalm 118. We've always done it this way. And nobody's bothered to ask the question, why? And here these kids shouting with a loud voice because something has made itself at home within them. Yeah. So then, fast forward through to Revelation 21. Where he says, I see a city that's prepared like a bride adorned for a husband. A bride spares no expense. She's not going to go cheap on the dress if she can help it. She's going to go all out. So here's this city that God has gone all out. Yeah. He's spared no expense with his imagination. Yeah. He's gone all in on this city. That's a bride adorned for a husband coming down out of heaven from God. And he said, I heard a voice shouting, a loud voice. Yeah. It would have been different if it would have been just like, the tabernacle of God's with men. No big deal. No big deal. Don't put too much emphasis on it. But no, it's not. That's not what the apocalypse says. That's not what's being revealed. Yeah. He heard a loud voice. Made me think of when he did this on Sunday, and he was like, he held the mic back, and he's like, well, no, he was talking about what John would have sounded like. It's like, and the fan of the Lord is in his hand. But the good news version of that is that I heard a loud voice saying, the tabernacle of God is with men. So the tent of God has made a tent in our backyard. Yeah. He's chosen to dwell with us. Yeah. And there's something that these kids recognize in the person of Jesus and following him that resembles something that's at home within them. Right. So it makes them say that if he can get up here, and he's doing all this stuff, then there's something that the song seems to go in tune with what I'm doing.
Right.
That's exactly what happens.
It's exactly what.
It's the tuning fork of your spirit.
Yeah.
It's what happens when something causes you to connect with whatever. Hopefully that's what's happening right now. Hopefully that's why people are watching. Hopefully that's why people are engaging.
Right.
You hear the sound.
Right.
That's what happens with people, right? I mean, that's why Pops likes cars.
Right.
He heard the sound of a motor when he was young, and that sound did something in him
Revved his engine.
that changed him. That
Right.
that made him want to pursue that.
That's right.
Right? You heard the sound. That's why Marshall picked up the guitar.
Yeah.
He heard the sound.
Right.
He heard himself in the sound.
Yeah.
You hear yourself in the sound.
Yeah.
And that's Jesus. That's the gospel.
Yeah.
That's what happened with the kids in the temple. They heard themselves in him.
Yeah.
When he came in there and those men were set up selling doves, the doves we're supposed to be hearing
Mm-hmm.
and calling and wanting to be a part of us, like to be one with us, he flips those tables, right? When he flips those tables and runs those guys out of there, the children see that they're free.
Yeah.
And they see that guy understands the kids that are back there reading the words in reverse.
Yep.
He understands us.
Yep.
Yeah.
He understands what we're about. So we're going to shout, Hosanna in the highest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're going to shout, Lord, save us.
Mhm.
Save them from what? What is Jesus saving the children from? He's saving them from the tyranny of the familiar,
Yeah,
as John Mark McMillan would say.
Yeah.
He saves you from the tyranny of the familiar,
Yep.
because your life is a familiar prison,
Mhm.
right? And I was having this conversation with a kid a moment ago. I asked him what he did at school today. I won't say which kid, but he's yours. I asked him if he had a good day today, and he said it was good. I said, "Did you do anything interesting?" He's like, "Nope." You know why he didn't do anything interesting? Because he went to school.
Yeah.
You know how many days I had like that as a kid? A bunch.
Yeah. a lot.
You know why? Because we're set up in this structure, in this follow this path
Yeah.
to be this outcome,
Yep.
and nobody empowers them. Nobody takes them like that video I sent you. We don't take kids to a body of water and teach them.
No.
We don't take kids to a mountain and teach them.
Just let them observe and ask a question.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
Because-
interact. I mean,
Right.
Bishop said something on Sunday about afterwards about this is how in biology you go to biology class and they teach you to dissect a frog.
Yeah.
And at the end of it all, you got a dead frog.
Right.
And it's like, that's not how you learn about that frog. Yeah, you're
Excellent.
going to learn about its anatomy maybe, but at the end of the day, you got a dead frog you're looking at. So the best way to learn is to go out and interact with the frog in its environment, in its natural environment, and its
How much more would we have learned about the frog if we'd have heard him ribbit
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
Heard the sound
instead of cutting his guts out?
yeah.
right?
right,
Right. I mean, that's what we did. It's like,
Yeah.
let's teach you about a frog. Let's murder it.
Yeah,
Like, let's just tear it apart.
yeah,
And that's our bishop that had that after Sunday. That was the first thing that he said after the message. It's like, that is what, in a way, that's what religion does,
yeah,
right? Well, let's show you how to just mutilate everything.
yeah.
Let's show you how to dissect
Yep.
everything. Let's show you how to tear everything down, right?
Yeah.
And there's a time for tearing down, which is what makes it poetic. John was prophesying to himself.
Yeah.
Man, this gets very literal. If John literally loses his head,
Yep.
right? Jesus, significantly after the resurrection, has the head cloth, what? Folded, right?
Yep,
Symbolizing what? This is the new head.
Yeah.
This is the new thinking.
yep,
That's why it was significant for him to ride the foal on Passover,
Yeah.
during Passover,
yeah,
because we're passing over this old line of thinking,
Yeah.
which is, and that's why John the Baptist was the greatest, right? Because he's the closest a man ever got.
yeah,
He's the closest a fit like a man face anthropos man ever got.
Yep.
And you know how close it was? He was the least in the kingdom of heaven.
yeah.
That's how close John got.
Yeah.
But he got closer than any other man by
Yeah.
being the man.
yeah,
And he was that close.
Yeah.
He notified it. That's him. That's the one. That's what John did,
Yeah.
right? But he missed the opportunity to keep his mouth shut
Yeah.
about Herod. Like I said Sunday, he started reading the news.
yeah,
He started watching whatever news network he plays every day that reinforces his bias,
yep,
and he starts calling out Herod.
yeah,
And he winds up in prison when he should have been in the temple with Jesus and the kids,
Yeah, exactly.
crowing Hosanna
Yeah.
in the highest.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. He was in prison, and he sends his disciples to ask Jesus, "You're not who you said you was."
Yep.
And we do the same thing. You're not who you said you were,
Yeah.
because my life is a mess, or my life is here, or my life is there.
Yeah.
And we say, "You're not who you said you were."
Yeah.
But we can't see past our offense.
It's not. It's not. He's not who you said he was.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to, is that he didn't match your interpretation of what the Messiah was supposed to look like.
Right,
You
right.
thought that things were going to go this way.
Yeah.
But we do that with life.
Right.
We do that with marriage. We do that with relationships. We do that with our kids. Our kids don't turn into the people that we expected them to be. You may have had this vision in your head of this perfect little child, and when I raise this little child, then she's going to be this or she's going to be that, and it's just not the case, because they are their own being.
Yeah.
They become their own person, and trying to hedge them in some sense doesn't always work. That's why Jesus, so it's the same word for scandalizo, when he's telling, for one, in Matthew 16, when Peter, he's asking them, "Who do you say that I am?" And he says, "Well, you're the Christ, you're the Son of the living God." You did not learn this from anthropos. You did not learn this from a man. You didn't learn this from a school. You didn't learn this from anywhere else. But my Father has taught this to you. You've learned this because you are remembering. You're remembering something that is from the Father, right? And then, I don't know, maybe 3, 4, 5 verses later, he starts talking about his passion. Talking about, and again, Juice brought that up with the passion, but he starts talking about the passion, talking about the thing that he's going to experience, the pain and the suffering that he's going to go through. Peter thinking more highly of himself. "Be it not so, Lord, it will be done," blah, blah, blah. And then that's when he calls him Satan. "Get behind me." He says, "You are a stumbling block to me. You are a scandalizo to me. You are trying to hedge me in." But then, and for one, and trap me. You're trying to trap me. But it goes back to the exact same thing that happens with Peter, James, and John on the top of the mountain where Jesus is transfigured, and he's doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's, well, let's set up a tabernacle for you and for Moses and Elijah, and let's scandalizo you guys. Let's trap you up here, and we can have a church, we can have a ministry, we can have all this great stuff, and people will just flock up here. But Jesus is heading out into the wilderness.
Yeah.
After John dies, Jesus is going out in the wilderness to be away from everybody, to be in seclusion. It's the crowds that follow him out into the wilderness, but he didn't go there for the crowds to follow. He went there for seclusion. But then what happens at the end of that story, right? So when you read it in John 6, where he goes into there, he goes out into the wilderness, he feeds these 5,000 with the meal of a little boy, because it doesn't make sense to everybody else, for one, because Jesus is the one presenting the question. All right, well, how are we going to feed them?
Yeah.
And Philip or Andrew, one of them, says, like, it takes 6 months of wages to feed all these people.
And there's nowhere to buy bread.
There's nowhere to buy bread. Jesus, we're out in the wilderness.
Yeah.
We're out in the middle of nowhere. And here comes a little boy hearing the conversation, thinking, having imagination, again, hearing whatever the adults are talking about, is able to imagine something bigger than what they can picture.
Wow.
So here he comes with his little 5 loaves and his little 2 fishes,
Yeah.
and they probably scoff at it, but Jesus says, all right, well, I can work with that. And he feeds them so much that there's stuff left over. They can gather the fragments into baskets. Then it's after that they want to make him a king.
Yeah.
Like, let's pull him out of the wilderness. People need to hear your message, man. People need to get you all over the world. We got to get you on. We got to get you on TBN.
Yeah.
People's got to hear you. And it's like, here's Jesus saying, "No, I don't want that.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm after.
Right.
I'm not after fame. I'm not after notoriety. I'm not after a position, and I'm not after a throne. What I'm after is a heart, your heart, for you to connect to your Father."
Yeah.
The same way that I've connected to Father.
Yeah.
For you to realize that the kingdom is within you. Not for you to not for you to think of a kingdom in terms of kings and queens and rulers and thrones and dominions and things like that, but to realize that the kingdom is within you.
Yeah.
It dwells within you.
Yeah.
So, meaning that you're not outside of God's domain.
Yeah.
You're not outside of God's world,
Yeah.
of God's good creation. You are fully fitted and framed within the city of God
Mm-hmm.
that He has designed.
Yeah.
So shout with a loud voice. Join into the creation.
Yeah.
Let your voice be heard along with the line that creation has gone out. And in Isaiah chapter 11, he talks about the root of Jesse and how this root gets raised up. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, there's a reformation of creation. Suddenly, lions stop eating meat and they start grazing on grass.
Yeah, yeah.
Wolves and lambs start laying down together.
Right.
Children are playing with serpents.
Yeah.
Imagine that. And then you fast forward through the other parts of Isaiah where the trees of the field begin to clap their hands.
Yeah.
And instead of the briar and the grows up a fir tree. Instead of the thorn, there grows up an oak. And that's actually that's the word that's actually translated in Isaiah 61 that you read, where it's oaks. It's strong oaks. Here's these trees that are growing up, planting of the Lord, trees of righteousness.
Yeah.
Think about that with Revelation. Is what are the trees in the middle of the river with leaves for the healing of the nations?
Yeah.
So it's I went crazy there for a minute. All right, what was I talking about again? Yeah, sorry, but it's all right. So the big thing I was trying to get at there, what I'm trying to at least wrap that little portion up with, is that it's the knowledge of the glory of God that covers the earth like the waters cover the sea.
Mm-hmm.
Not the glory of God, but
Right.
the knowledge of the glory of God.
Yeah.
So it's knowing your connectedness within Him.
Mm-hmm.
And these kids, the little boy with his lunch, the little kids in the temple, they start hearing something that connects them to the knowledge of the glory, as if the glory has always been here.
Yeah.
The glory seems to have always existed.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to be like everybody else, and instead of trying to jump in line with what everybody else wants them to do, they just live in the glory.
Yeah.
They live in the moment of the glory. They are standing in front of the tree that's on fire but not consumed,
Yeah.
and they take their shoes off and they live in the moment.
Yeah.
Other point that I wanted to make about it is philosopher Soren Kierkegaard,
Mm-hmm.
who, speaking of that very thing that you were talking about before, about trying to live for tomorrow and trying to figure tomorrow out. He made it's usually quoted very often, but he says, we never understand life going forward. We only understand life from where we are looking backwards.
Yeah.
You never understand it looking forward.
Yeah.
You never even barely understand it in the present. You only understand life standing where you are and looking in reverse.
Yeah.
Part of the philosophy that he's getting at there, if you continue to read what he's saying, it's about being in the now,
Mm-hmm.
but realizing that in my now, I probably do not fully grasp what's happening right now.
Hmm.
So when I was 20, I could probably look back on 16 and 13, and at 20, I could probably understand 16 and 13 a little bit better.
Right.
But at 20, I don't understand 20.
Yeah.
At 25, I might be able to look back at 20 and maybe understand 20.
Yeah.
But at 25, I don't understand 25. Not the
Right.
way that I think that I do.
Right.
That's what he's getting at. Living in the now exposes you to everything that is around you,
Yeah.
and take it all in right now.
Yeah.
Take it all in this moment. Take
Yeah.
your shoes off, Moses. You're on holy ground.
Yeah.
Touch the earth, feel, hear, use all of your senses,
Yeah.
engage in everything that's happening, because years from now,
Yeah.
not tomorrow, not the next day, but years from now, you will live into your future, and in that present, you'll be able to look back and say, all right, I understand that a little bit better.
Yeah.
I understand why that bush was on fire and it was not consumed,
Yeah.
and why I asked God who He was, and He says, I am.
Yeah.
I am what I am.
Yeah. Yeah. I will be what I will be.
I'm existing as I exist. You exist as you exist.
Yeah.
And to them, traditionally, they say that is the understanding, the first understanding of where they got the phrase or the word Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Right.
So it's this self-existent God who exists as He is,
Yeah.
but exists in so many different ways.
Yes.
Right.
And for them to look back on that to understand it, he would have never caught that right then and there.
Right.
Yeah. That's the consider the ravens.
Mm-hmm.
Right. In Norse mythology,
Yeah.
Odin is represented or seen as a raven.
It has two
he's
ravens.
He's a shapeshifter. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he has two perched on his shoulders,
Yep.
Munin and Hunin or something
Yep.
like that. And the one represents thought,
Mhm.
the other represents memory.
Yeah.
And so in thinking about what he read from Merton and everything you're saying right now, I was listening to a podcast by Andrew Huberman. He was talking about meditation. And meditation and mindfulness, those are two different things, but they kind of go hand in hand. A lot of times we think meditation, you sit and you have your mind on this one thing or whatever, you bring your mind into this one spot, and that's where you stay, and you're there for 30 minutes, and you're humming and droning, and you got your legs crossed, and maybe you're floating off the floor or something, I don't know. But that's what we think of when we think about meditation. But there are several different types of meditation, or different forms of meditation, some of which, your eyes are closed and you are sitting in a folded position, and you're focusing on maybe one or two things, and you're trying to bring, what you're doing though in meditation is you're trying to bring your focus into the present, and you're trying to focus on one thing or maybe two things. Most people can't focus on more than two things at one time when they're meditating, and so you focus on your breath. And you might focus on something that you're hearing, or you might focus on something that, if your eyes are open, that you see. And again, there are different forms of meditation or different types of meditation. Some of them involve walking, whatever, various activities. But the point is that the meditation brings you into the present. Yeah. Now, the interesting thing about meditation, this is why most people give up on it, is because they think, well, I'm sitting here and I'm bringing my mind to this thing, but I can't focus, so I'm just going to give up on this, right? So they try it once or twice. They couldn't keep their mind on the thing that they were trying to focus on. They couldn't stay with their breath. They couldn't stay with their heartbeat. They couldn't stay with their big toe or whatever it was that they were trying to bring their attention to, and so they just forget about it. Yeah. Well, what they found in research is that the people who are most affected or most deeply affected by meditation, and the ones that, of course, again, when you meditate, this is something that helps with anxiety and depression and focus, and can help with energy. Again, it depends on kind of what you're doing. Are you working to be introspective, which is to figure out what's going on the inner world, or extrospective, which is to figure out what's going on on the outer world, right? Can I focus out here to get my mind off of the inside world? Or am I focusing inward to get my mind off the outside world? But depending on what you're trying to do there, again, you have these different outcomes. But the point being that when what they found is that the people that it most deeply affected in the sort of pros of meditation, right, quote unquote pros, people that do it a lot, and they learned this through fMRI, which is a functional MRI, where they scan your brain while you're doing something, right? And the purpose of that is to see what parts of the brain light up, and what does this mean, right, scientifically speaking. So what they figured out is the folks that were pros at meditation, they were not, the parts of their brain weren't lighting up showing that they were staying focused on this thing constantly, or that they were able to stay focused on it for the full 20-minute period or 30-minute period that they were meditating, but that they were coming back to the thing much quicker than the novice, right? So the new guy who's just now learning to meditate, it might take him 2 or 3 minutes to get back to what he was trying to focus on, right? But the pros, they're coming back to it real quick like. And I think that's what Christ is saying when he says, consider the ravens. They don't work and toil. They're not worried about tomorrow. They're not worried about how is this going to happen and how is that going to happen. They're continuously brought into the present, whatever is currently going on, whatever is currently needed to be focused on. And that's that call back to thought, which is one of the ravens that's represented with Odin. And then the other one is the memory, right? Now, Odin's fear was that as they went and explored the earth, as they went and covered the earth, the thought and memory, and they flew away. Every day they flew away and came back to him. But as they circled the earth, his fear was that they would not return to him, that his memory and his thought would not return to him, or his perception, or whatever, this other raven thought, perception, however you want to view that, and then memory, that it wouldn't return. And it's like, when we think about the raven, they're not necessarily thinking about tomorrow, but they're somehow connected in this moment with everything that's happened before, right? Like you're saying there, you live kind of backwards, right? We live in reverse almost. looking back at our life, but we're hoping to be connected to something that goes much further back than 15 or 20 or 10 or 7 or whatever, whatever age you can remember back to, right? And you're hoping to be connected back to that. And obviously we don't necessarily have to fear that if we continue to stay in the present. If we continue to bring ourselves back to the presence that we have in Christ, the presence that we have in God, and the realization that we are living and walking in God's domain, and He's living and walking within us as His domain. That we literally are the kingdom of God where He continuously dwells. We're the tent that He continuously dwells in. So our thought, our perception can continuously be brought back to this, and we're forever connected even in that memory.
Yeah, and I think that's significant of, like you were saying with Moses. That's literally what happens, and we leave it kind of mystical, or we have for a long time, of why He said take your shoes off, and it's really not mystical at all. There's no mystery now for me. It's to be in this moment. You are with me. And I think that's what the kids saw in the temple. You are with me, kids. Like, He flipped that table over. They saw that as their opportunity to praise, to perfect praise, to complete the story. And I feel like that's what we're doing. That's what we're learning to do. You can't perfect praise tomorrow. You can't perfect praise tomorrow. You can't complete the story tomorrow. You have to do it now. Now.
That's what John the Baptist was wanting, though.
Right.
He's wanting him to finish what we started, man.
Right.
And we were kids.
Right.
We grew up. We're cousins, man. Like, finish what we started.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna throw the Romans out, right? Mm-hmm. You're gonna get rid of all these people. You're gonna do it the way I thought we would, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, it's not gonna be done that way. It's because to him, he's thinking from maybe like a protological way. Like this is all perfected from the beginning, right? Like we had a plan made out. Like, no, it's eschatological. We're going someplace. We're getting somewhere. It's not going to be done overnight. You're not going to happen immediately. You're not going to perfectly understand it. You're not going to perfectly grasp it. And you're not going to perfectly walk in it on day one. Looks like what you're saying with the meditation. You're not going to perfectly meditate immediately.
Right.
It's going to take some time. Just again, with what you're saying, is that you're not going to perfectly perfect praise. You're not going to fully understand it right there every single time.
Yeah.
It's going to take time to get into it. So it's, again, just take your shoes off, chill out, connect to what's happening right now, because tomorrow you might understand a little bit better today.
Yeah, and Moses did exactly what we do when we try to meditate. He does exactly what we do when we try to meditate. God's like, meditate, Moses, take your shoes off. I can't speak. I'm not a good spokesman. I'm not a good preacher. I don't know what I'm going to do with this message. He immediately can't focus on what God is showing him. Moses, you're the bush.
Right.
You're the bush right now. You're burning, but you're not consumed.
Right.
Like it's a mystery. And as I said in that thing that you were talking about that I wrote, everything that Moses knew was burning. Like his life was on fire. He had set it on fire himself. He did not understand a bush that was on fire but not yet not consumed. He couldn't fathom that. And even when God said, look at it, stare at it, stay here, take your shoes off. Look at this. Just look at it. Look at it, Moses. Just look at it. Would you just look at it, Moses? But he couldn't. He couldn't. His mind immediately went to, I'm not a good preacher. So I'm not a good preacher. But God's like, I am. I am.
Right.
And because I am, you are.
Right.
And I will literally be there in your mouth. Like I will be in your mouth. That's how now I am. That's how present this message is. Literally right now in our mouth is now. That's present. That's synesthesia. That's the kingdom. That's the calling. That's the bird. That's the verb. That's the kradzo. It's right here, right now. You're not going to get saved tomorrow. You're not going to get saved tomorrow. You're going to get saved right now. Now is the time. Now is the day of salvation. Today is the day of salvation. And that's what he told Mary. Mary said, if you would have just come, if you would have just been here, I know you're going to raise. I know you're the resurrection and the life, Jesus. I know you're going to raise the dead at the end of the age, at the last day. I am right now the resurrection.
Right.
Right now. You can't do anything tomorrow. You can't meditate tomorrow. Tomorrow is not even yours.
Right.
But right now it's yours. And you can embrace that as a child.
Right.
And in perfecting praise, completing the story. If we can finish up by going back to Isaiah. Unless y'all want to hit anything else real quick.
Let's just roll.
You want to roll?
I'm on the boat.
Curtis threw this out there. If you want to touch on that.
Curtis Kelly Wilson said this in a text message. And Jesus said unto them, can the children of the bride chamber mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom shall be taken from them, and then they shall fast. That's the right now.
Yeah.
That's the right now,
Yeah.
right? That was what Jesus was saying in that example. Like, why ain't y'all fasting? Why don't your disciples fast? Because they are operating in kradzo. Like, it's right now. Half the time they don't see it, but that's what I'm trying to get them to do. I mean, why would you fast if I'm here with you, right?
Yeah.
All right. So Isaiah, as he's quoting this back to John, of course, he leaves out the opening of the prison doors. So if you jump on down, it says, verse 7, Isaiah 61, verse 7. For your shame you shall have double, and for your confusion they shall rejoice in their portion. Therefore in their land they shall possess the double. Everlasting joy shall be unto them. All right, here it is. For I, the Lord, love judgment, or justice, or doing fair, being fair. Yeah. I, the Lord, love being fair. I hate robbery for burnt offering. I hate it when you sell doves in the temple.
Yep.
I hate it when you sell the doves that you're supposed to be hearing. I hate it when you try and sacrifice and kill to get close to me, because I'm right now, right? And I will direct their work in truth, and I will make an everlasting covenant with them. And their seed shall be known among the Gentiles, and their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them, and they are the seed which the Lord hath blessed. Right? So, verse 10, I will greatly rejoice in the Lord. My soul shall be joyful in my God, for he hath clothed me with the garments of salvation. I don't have the garments of mourning on, or like, I don't have the, what was it? Come on, I don't have the spirit of heaviness on no more, right? I don't have the ashes on right now, right? I'm not mourning. I'm not there anymore. I've got the garments of salvation on, because it's right now. He hath covered me with the robe of righteousness, as a bridegroom, hello Curtis, decketh himself with ornaments, and as a bride adorneth herself with jewels. For as the earth, here it is, for as the earth bringeth forth her bud, and as the garden causeth things that are sown into the I'm excited. As the garden causeth the things that are sown in it to spring forth, so the Lord God will cause righteousness and praise to spring forth before all nations. Man. For Zion's sake will I not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest, until the righteousness thereof go forth as a brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. And the Gentiles shall see their righteousness, and all the kings thy glory. And thou shalt be called a new name, which the mouth of the Lord shall name. Thou shalt be called a crown of glory. You'll be a crown. I'll put y'all in there. Y'all will be a crown of glory in the hand of the Lord, and a royal crown in the hand of thy God. Now here it is, verse 4. Last one. Thou shalt no more be termed forsaken. Neither shall thy land any more be termed desolate. The axe is no longer laid to the root. But thou shalt be called Hephzibah, and thy land Beulah. For the Lord delighteth in thee, and thy land shall be married. And what he is saying there is that's perfect praise. That was the kids crying out in the temple. That is the moment that we realize that it's not about everything going away, and it's not about everything being destroyed, and it's not about everybody leaving. It's none of that. It's about Jesus going back into the wilderness after John the Baptist died. To do what? To declare, I'm marrying this land. I am marrying this land. So what are we to do? We're to marry the land. Right. We don't live on a 2-week notice. Nobody works hard on a 2-week notice. I'm sorry. You don't. You don't. That's why a lot of companies now, you turn in a 2-week notice, like, appreciate all you did. Just go ahead and go. You can just go. Like, we don't need you wasting any more time because you're not about us anymore, right?
Yep.
Well, that's what we've done with the earth. With this message of the rapture, and Jesus is coming back with a fan in his hand to purge the floors. I mean, he's gonna burn up the chaff and all that and all this and all that. Nobody wants to hear that.
Right.
Nobody wants to, unless you believe it. And if you do believe it, you're on a 2-week notice anyway. Like you checked out a long time ago. But we marry the land, and we marry the land by saying what? We are his delight. He delights in us. And that's what, sadly, that's what John got wrong. John got that wrong. John did not preach like Balaam correctly did after the donkey shouted out, right? He didn't get it right. He got it close. He was close. Right. And I don't want the wrong interpretation here. John the Baptist got close. He got close enough to be called the greatest man that ever lived. Mm-hmm. But you know how close that was? The least in the kingdom. Yeah. The least in the kingdom. So quit trying to figure it out and meditate in this reality that it's right now. Yeah. And it's all about you. And it's about who you've always been. From the very beginning, you've been loved. Yeah. Always. So have a moment with Jesus. Take your shoes off in faith right now at home. Probably ain't got any shoes on anyway right now. Right. Put your feet up, lower your recliner and put your feet on your living room floor right now. Because you're sitting, stand up, you're standing on holy ground. Yeah. It's always been about you. Yeah. All of this is for you. Yeah. Everything. This moment right now, it's for you. Mm-hmm. It's for you to know that the same bush that was not consumed but on fire is burning for you right now. Yeah. See yourself. See yourself in Him. Mm-hmm. See yourself in the reality of the love that God has always had for you. Yeah. I ain't got anything else.
I think Martin Luther said that if he knew the world was going to end tomorrow, he would plant a tree.
John Mark McMillan, yeah. Shall I plant sequoias and revel in the soil of a crop I know I'll never live to see? Yep. Yeah. So sell my body to my Maker and my heart unto my Savior and spread me on the road, the rocks, and the weeds. Yep. My goodness.
Just make me the seed.
I am a seed.
Yeah.
I am a seed. But a seed does not abide alone. Yeah. It does not go into the ground. It does not abide alone. Yeah. So you may be in a dark place, right? Your life may be not where you want it. May not be what you wanted. But you're not alone. You're not alone. You're the child in the temple. And He just walked in and flipped over the tables of control. He just walked in your story and flipped over the tables, flipped over the slavery, flipped over the bondage, broke down the walls. Hear the voice of your Maker and cry out, Hosanna in the highest. Yeah. Save me. Save me from myself. Save me from this flock of possibilities that I flew away chasing. Yeah. And bring me back to the synesthesia. Bring me back to the kradzo, to the oneness, to the in-seeing song of who I really am. I love y'all. We all love y'all. Yep. We invite you to come this Sunday. We invite you to be a part of what we're doing here. We have service every Sunday at 10 o'clock. We invite you to share this stream. We invite you to like our page. We invite you to give if you like what you're hearing, if you want this to happen more, if you want more of these streams, if you want to see this thing grow, which we want to. I mean, it's nice to hear somebody that's not saying everything's going to hell. Yeah. Right? Right. So it's not. Right. So give. Feel free to donate to our ministry.
Find us on Google Play Store. Find us on the Apple App Store under The Gathering Echo. Find us on YouTube under The Gathering Echo. Like you said, like, share, subscribe, all the streams. Leave us a comment. Connect with us. Let us know how we can pray for you. Let us know how we can connect with you. If you'd like for us to come and see you, we'll figure out a time to do that. It's convenient for you. If you need us to talk, we've got people that can do that. We can love you any way that we possibly can. So just let us know. We're here for you. So just say this together. I love Him.
I love Him.
Because He first
loved me.
God bless you.